So this morning, like I said, we're taking the discussion off the streets and we're putting it straight in your ears. We're taking it off the classroom and putting it straight into your ears. And we're trying to locate the place of homegrown herbs in boosting immunity. My guest has been around for quite a while, Dr. Taofeekat Abosede Desalu. She's an associate professor with the Department of Botany, University of Lagos. And she's joining me this morning to come and shed light on this. It's nice to have you, madam. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And you're welcome to Traffic Radio.
Thank you so much.
Do you listen to us?
Yes, I do.
And what do you make of Traffic Radio?
It gives impression and the views on what is happening around you, and also assists you to navigate your movement better.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it helps saves time as well,
right,
and energy. And
how is your assessors? Are we doing?
Yeah, you're doing great.
You mean it?
Yeah, you're doing great.
I don't want to blush. All right.
You're doing great.
So, madam, before we settle in on how best to boost our immunity this morning, let's connect with you to talk a little bit about botany, because rarely do we come across professionals like you on this program. So, who is a botanist?
Thank you very much. A botanist is a person that studied botany. And botany is the study of plants and plant products. You study the physiology of plants, the genetics of plants, the taxonomy, the classification, and economic importance of that plant.
And do we have enough botanists in Nigeria?
I don't think we have enough, and we can never have enough, considering our population.
Right.
So the large population, with the number of botanists that we have now, we are not enough.
Yeah, I'm asking that question because it's not every day you usually come across people that will tell you, I have studied botany. So, and that's why I'm so curious to find out, if we were to put it in terms of figures, do we have up to 1,000 botanists in Nigeria?
Yeah, we do have. We do have botany. The study of botany has a different area of specialization. Okay. So that is where this area of need comes in. So in botany, for the fact that you study botany, we have different areas of specialization, like the taxonomy,
right,
plant physiology, plant ecology,
right,
phycology, mycology, paleobotany, ethnobotany, economic botany, genetics, and many other ones.
So there's so many areas of specialization.
Yeah, there are so many areas of specialization. But for you to be in that area of specialization, you must have studied the basic fundamentals of botany.
Right.
Then you now concentrate on that area of specialization.
So like you said, botany is all about plants, and plants. So you guys live, eat, drink, and do everything about plants. Is that what it means?
Botany is about plants and plant products.
Okay.
And the plants that we're talking about are grouped into two. We have the higher plants and the lower plants. The higher plants are those ones that mostly we can relate with, because they have vascular bundles. They produce fruits that you and I enjoy, like mango, apple, and other ones.
Right. Then
we have the lower plants. Those are the ones that do not have vascular bundles. Okay. Vascular bundles are made up of the phloem and the xylem.
Right.
Those one helps in the transportation of mineral nutrients and food from one part of the plant to the other.
Right.
Having said that, the lower plants are those ones that do not have true roots, stem, and leaves. And this group of plants have algae, bryophytes, and the univascular cryptogram, which is the pteridophyte.
Okay.
All these, we have all these plants representative in our environment.
Right. Now, these are very, very technical terms anyway. Okay. But let's look at, of what significance is botany to nation building, like Nigeria, for instance? How would you describe it?
The study of botany, like I've said, is a study of plants and its products, the physiology, the ecology. Having said that, for anything to be referred to as plant, it means that that thing must have chlorophyll, which is the green pigment.
Okay.
And that green pigment gives it additional responsibility, that is, to be able to manufacture food through the process of photosynthesis. Now, this process of photosynthesis gives the byproduct of it is that it releases oxygen at the end, and it takes carbon dioxide from the environment. So having said that, now let us look at it. The plants will go through this process, release oxygen for you and I to breathe in,
right, and
take the carbon dioxide that we have released outside for it to make that process, thereby cleaning the environment and making the world a better way for us to live.
Right.
So looking at at that aspect, you can see that the botanist is very important and plant is very important.
All right.
Having said that, the botany also do what we call the phytochemistry of this plant. We look at what make up of this plant. What are the things that this plant has that can make it useful for this or that in terms of treatment, in terms of boosting immunity.
Right.
So we are much needed in the environment, and botany is more relevant in day-to-day activities.
So without botany, Nigeria will be what?
Without botanies, the world cannot move because the plants start it all.
Okay.
From taking the oxygen. We're talking about the climate change now. We're talking about global warming.
Right.
Even this group of plants are the one that we're using for sequestration of carbon dioxide to clean the environment and make it a better place for us to live.
Right. So let's talk about the plants that you've been mentioning. Do we have enough? Because you just said now higher plants, lower plants. But in Nigeria, let's come to Nigeria, for instance. Talk to us about the species of plants, and do we really have them readily available? Because these days it's very, very common for us to break down or perhaps just clear off every bush that we see and build structures there.
Yeah, God in His infinite mercy have endowed Africa and other parts of the world with this natural growth called plants. We have more than enough, because that is the way the creature has done it for us.
Okay.
We have more than enough, but in the area of development, there's always a price to pay. So the price we are paying for westernization, for globalization, and for urbanization is the cutting down of these trees, of these plants. Okay. More so, some of these plants that we're cutting down, that is why for instance, in Nigeria now, we have regulators like Federal Ministry of Environment, Lagos State, LASEPA, that even if you want to site a factory or a company somewhere, you have to go through that procedure to be sure that the plants that are in that environment, can they be found elsewhere? Are they being categorized under that IUCN? IUCN is the categorization of plants telling us that, okay, maybe this plant is threatened, this plant is rare, and this plant is going to extinction. Right. For instance, if you do that, if you have a plot of land that you want to establish your company, they have to go through that process. It's called environmental impact assessment. Right. So under that environmental impact assessment, the ecologists will be there, zoologists will be there, the chemists will be there. Every professionals will take his or her own aspect of it, and they will come up with a holistic report of that representation of that environment. And if there are plants that are needed or rare in Nigeria, but are located in that place, as an ecologist, a botanist, they will give advice on what to do. Maybe you have to wait till when this plant start producing seeds so that you can collect the seeds and go and plant it elsewhere, so that plant will not go into extinction.
So for professionals like you, have you done enough research? Let's talk about Nigeria, for instance, for botanists. Have we done research to be able to identify anything that's unique to our plants in Nigeria?
Yeah, there are many works that have been done in the past, and there are work that's still going on. I know that many of our botanists in Nigeria, all over Nigeria, engage in one research or the other. Okay. For instance, many of us has done it in such a way that we've even identified new species for Nigeria. We've even identified where certain plants can be found, and what those plants are being used for, because we find out that the plants that is located in an environment, that community probably will have the major use that they are using it for. And someone elsewhere might even be looking for that same plant, but for another important purpose that they want to use it. So most of the time when we go for such trip to get our data, we'll ask the local people, we call them the inhabitants of that environment, this plant, what name do you call it? So that is why you find out that some plants in Yoruba have one name, in Hausa we have another name, in Igbo it will have another name. But
they are similar, or they're
the same thing, but because of the environment, the local language that are being used in that environment.
Dr. Desalu, I'm curious here. So what is the difference between a botanist and the traditional medicine practitioner or the herbalist, as the case may be?
A botanist is someone that studied the physiology, the ecology, the genetics, classification of those plants. So botany will go to the lab and do the phytochemistry. What is phytochemistry? Phytochemistry is you want to know the active ingredients in that part of plant. But the traditional medicine, many of them now are doing this, the active ingredients that, for instance, now if traditional medicine said, the practitioner said that we use this plant to cure cough,
Right.
the botany will take that plant and take it to the lab for proper analysis to see what is in that plant that is making it to address the issue of cough.
Okay.
So which are what we call metabolites and the phytochemistry. So I will get that. When you get that phytochemistry analysis, then you'll be able to trace it that, oh, that is why this plant can probably cure this, or that is why they are using it.
So you guys can now authenticate.
The botany cannot authenticate.
Okay.
We can only say that for this plant, I've done this analysis and I have
active properties.
So the other the professionals like pharmacists and our other professionals, the pharmacognosy too, they do that phytochemistry. You know, pharmacists can the one that can produce new drugs and formulation and all that.
Right.
So they can put all our findings together and do something about it. And we do a lot of collaboration as well.
All right, then Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning on Talk Time, we're trying to locate the place of homegrown herbs in boosting immunity. So we're still going to be talking a whole lot about immunity this morning. But don't forget, if you are on Lagos Ibadan Expressway, it is slow. If you're moving in from Otedola inwards Beja, navigating towards Kara, and that's because you have one or two impediments there. And of course, do not forget the road check that it's on as well. Return journey too within that corridor is slow, but moving from there towards the Third Milan Bridge, it gets much better. On Ikorodu Road from Iyano School, proceeding to K2 Koshofe down to mile 12 is still appreciably good. That's on the return journey. But if you're coming in from Ikorodu, it's good all the way to Owode. But beyond the Woody, inwards my 12, it gets slower a bit, and that's because of marketing activities, as well as a bad portion of the road around Koshofe there. All right, beyond that point, beyond Ojota, inwards Maryland, towards Fadeyi, it gets much better. On the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, the last feed we got there, a broken down vehicle, this is around... Adialo inwards Yanopaja, so you need to watch out for movement around that location. But last man, that's the traffic managers around that corridor. You can keep us posted on what's happening. All right, very, very soon, I'll also allow you to join the conversation. Perhaps you have one or two concerns for Dr. Desalu, who's an associate professor with the Department of Botany, University of Lagos. You can feel free to join the conversation. But Dr. Desalu, let's bring it to immunity now. Let's talk about the immune system. So when we say immune system, really, what are we referring to here?
We mentioned immune system. We are referring to the ability of an organism to resist a particular toxin or infection. And you know that these infections are caused by microorganisms. So when your body have the ability to resist the introduction of that infection or that toxin into your body, we said you have high immunity. And the other one is, if the immunity is low, then there's possibility that you'll be vulnerable or susceptible to such microorganisms or toxins or pathogens.
Okay. All right. So what are the things that could make someone's immune system to be weak, for instance? Or perhaps let's look at the science first. What are some of the signs that would indicate that one has a weak immune system?
Globally, one of the things that we notice is that probably you come with one symptoms of the other. But the common one is the common cold, the catarrh, and probably cough, which is common.
Okay.
And that is why if you go to hospital for medical checkup, they'll tell you that you have to take a lot of fluid, you have to take vitamin C, you have to rest and all that. Having said that, lowering immunity might just be a sign that your body is telling you that you've overworked or crossed that line.
All right.
So it could be a sign of stress for some people. So over time, you might just be advised to rest, take a lot of fruits that has vitamin C, and take a lot of fluid.
All right.
But in all, it's better for us to understand our body and know when to put comma or pause.
All right. So what can I do to boost my immune system from the botanist perspective?
Yeah, the major thing to do to boost immune system is, first of all, eat good. When I say eat good, we all know what the balanced diet is all about. And in the actual fact, if you look at the balanced diet in most cases are not too expensive for us. It's just to have a bit of all those group of plants that make up that balanced diet, like carbohydrates, vitamins, and all that.
All right.
Now, to boost the immunity, you have to take a lot of vegetables, fruits, as we've been told.
Okay.
So people know about this. But how do we get to know the type of fruits
that I should take?
That you should take. But the basic thing that we always tell people, or let me say that I always tell people, is that we should go along with what we have in season. Because nature have its way of telling us that what you need at this time.
Okay.
We know that fortunately for us in Nigeria, we have 2 seasons with the break in August. We have the dry and the wet season.
Right.
So there are certain fruits, vegetables that we have almost everywhere during each season. So how we enjoin our people to try as much as possible to enjoy those fruits as they're coming out season by
let's
season.
look at those fruits and identify them with the season. Can we just mention some?
Yeah, for instance, now we have mango now. All of our places now. We have oranges, we have watermelon. All those ones, they have lots of vitamin C.
Okay.
And you know that the body does not store vitamin C. As you use it, the body gets use of it and gets rid of it.
Okay.
So we don't have it stored in our body.
So we need lots of them.
We need lots of that, because the advantage of that is that your body does not store it. If you need potassium, for instance, people, they will ask you to take a lot of vegetables. You know, we have different types of vegetables from different geopolitical zones in Nigeria.
Right.
You have your ugu, you have your oziza, you have your shoko, vegetables, water leaf, many of them. And remember also that these vegetables also can get rich in iron.
That's right.
And that is why most of the time, especially for pregnant women, when they go for their antenatal, you know, they tell them to take anything that comes with all this that is vegetable, liver, egg, peanuts, and all that. And all those
so can one get, I mean, is there a point where you say you are eating too much of this or you are consuming too much of vegetables? Does it have any effect on your body?
Yeah, I've heard of a case where, although it's not my area, it's a medical, I have a case of someone that has a lot of potassium. When the metabolites were analyzed and the person was asked to reduce the intake of vegetable. You know, those things can be taken in excess, and at the same time, it can be not enough. But what we always advise people to do is do in moderation.
Anything that you want to take.
Anything that you want to take, just do it in moderation.
You can just consider when you said vitamin C, I mean, you consume it and it gets up.
Yes.
So that means I can take fruits as many times as possible.
Good.
Endlessly.
They are rich in vitamin C.
Endlessly, right?
Endlessly. Because the body does not store that.
It doesn't matter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I can go on with my diet of watermelon.
Yes, you can go on, and you also have to study your body. You know that some people, when they take it at a certain point, they have running stomach and all that. That is your personal body mechanism. But that does not mean that you cannot take that in as often as possible. But at the same time, you need to listen to your body and respond accordingly.
So, Dr. Desalu, is it all plants that are consumable?
All plants are not consumable.
Not all plants?
Not all plants. Not all plants. But most plants are consumable. Those plants are consumable.
Do we have plants that are poisonous?
Yes, we have poisonous plants.
So how will I identify them?
That is why the phytochemistry is very important. For instance, in the past, the group of plants, the fungi, which has been taken away from plants now because they do not have chlorophyll. But in the past, fungi were classified as plants because they have cell wall. So it's because of the presence of that cell wall. This is classroom thing that I'm talking about now. So because of the presence of that cell wall, that is why fungi were classified as plants. But now the fungi has been taken away as its own kingdom because it does not have chlorophyll. Remember I said that for you to call something plant, it must have chlorophyll. And that's the green pigment gives it the opportunity to to manufacture is food.
Okay.
Which is called the process of photosynthesis.
Synthesis, that's right.
Now,
they're taking us back to the secondary school days.
Thank you. Now, that group of plants that the fungi that I'm talking about now that has its own kingdom now. In the past, the traditional way of identifying the poisonous, for instance, mushroom is one of the example of fungi. In the past, in the olden days, the traditional way of testing whether the mushroom is poisonous or is edible is by putting the mushroom on the floor, and you have chicken around the village, the community.
Right.
So our forefather then believes that if the chicken moves closer to that mushroom and eats it, then it's edible. But if it's just ignore as if nothing is there, then it's not edible.
That's
the natural way. But for the scientific way, you still have to collect the samples, go to the lab, analyze, and write reports on it.
All right, then. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. We're having an interesting conversation this morning with Dr. Taofeekat Desalu, who is an associate professor with the Department of Botany, University of Lagos. All right, so I'm going to allow you to join the conversation very, very shortly, but that will be after this break. We're going to go on a break right now, and when we return, we'll still continue the conversation on how best to locate the place of homegrown herbs in boosting our immunity. All that and much more still coming your way on Talk Time. Talk Time is the program, and it's time for you to join the conversation and have your say too. All right, so it's all about how best to boost our immune system, and we're doing that from the classroom this morning. And I have a caller on the radio already on the line. Hello there, good morning.
Good morning. My name is Oluwakemi Hazan.
Oluwakemi Hazan, how are you?
I'm fine.
And where are you calling from?
Presently, I'm in Ogun State. I'm calling from Ogun State. Please, I don't know which program is on now, but I had an experience. I just want to confirm and ask questions, because when you don't understand something, I think it is better we ask questions. I'm a farmer, and I believe the essential we can go out during that time, during this COVID time, and supply foodstuffs. And I don't understand. Maybe the curfew is not part of, because we are still under COVID lockdown.
Okay, so what I'll do for you, because we have a program that is all right now, we're talking about homegrown herbs in boosting immunity. But let me just give you the number that you can call so that you can put your complaints to that number. Is that okay?
Yeah, I so much appreciate that.
All right, so it's 090.
I'm coming. Hold on, please.
All right. All right, so...
I'm listening.
All right. No, 090.
All right.
1051.
All right.
3197.
1051.
3197.
97.
Yes, and the other two numbers ends with 98 and 99.
All right. 090-105 13197.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Okay.
And the other numbers end with what?
98 and 99.
9899. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so you can put your complaints to those numbers, and then they will to serve you. All right, then. So, but this morning we're talking immunity and how best to use some of what we have in Nigeria to boost it. But we're looking at it from the botanist perspective. Talk to me. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
All right, good morning.
This is Abayomi.
All right, Abayomi, how are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
All right, so you've heard what the lecturer has said, Abayomi.
Yes, sir. I'm listening since morning.
Okay.
I'm listening. I congratulate you. But you need this number.
You need to do what?
So I need this number after the program.
Okay, you need her number.
Email something.
Okay. But do you have any question for her?
No, I just want to thank him.
Okay.
That's his number. I will talk to him after the program.
All right, then.
That's the email address. You can give me down to his number.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Abayo. Okay, then. So, but I need you guys to also ask the lecturer here questions that relate to immunity, and of course, what are those things that are consumable that could help boost your immunity? Hello there. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor Ateri.
This is Grandma Lainka, right?
Yes. Good
morning, ma. Good morning,
Good morning, ma.
New.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Prof.
Good morning,
yes,
ma.
Let me first of all say it this way. The way my friends great grandchild will say thank you. He will say thank you. For this wonderful program this morning, for this lecture. In fact, as Prof is telling us these things, in my mind I was saying, what's the matter to
So what did you study, Grandma Lainka? What did you do?
I studied management, yes.
Wow.
Because I love plants, and so what I want to ask her this morning is that why is it that our children are no more studying botany? Because I remember a younger friend then, when she told me she was studying botany, she said, it was studying the way you give what's the purpose?
Yeah.
So, but, I take interest, like some things I know about some trees, like Oriata, this is good for people care. I know. And instead of going to maybe dentist, maybe we should be using that to Then again, when one Mrs. Kafaru, I don't know if you remember.
Late of blessed memory. I know her, ma.
Yes. So, such a person is no more that we can be reading such in the garden. Like you now, look at like what you have done today is so wonderful. That this one we encourage our children to do botany. And are they using your type in NAFDAC?
Okay.
And then this is the time we need you most in this COVID-19 to tell us COVID, that sort of thing.
Right.
So, and I thank Mr. Victor for that question you asked her, because I was just thinking about that question when you asked her about Abba medicine, when you say the importance to Abba medicine.
Right.
So, ma, you have to, God will strengthen you, ma.
Amen.
And bring younger ones again to do what you are doing, so that our plant will not die. We need you, please. You have to do more. Mr. Victor, please, you have to bring her back.
Okay, ma. Thank you so much, Grandma Lainka. Always a regular listener to Traffic Radio. All right. So, but before I allow you to respond to our questions, I'm still going to take more from the listening public. 0809-912-0777. This morning, it's all about identifying and locating homegrown herbs in boosting our immunity. Perhaps you have one or two areas of concern for the associate prof that we have in the studio. Feel free to bring it in. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Ayo is my name, and I'm on my way out of Lagos. I'm really enjoying the program.
Great.
Yes, I wanted to ask the associate professor something about plant poisoning. Mixture of different plants, like maybe you take this one and join it with this one. Can that one can it make the plant poisonous? Like, I just remember someone taking maybe all these agbo, you mix mango fruit, pawpaw this one, pineapple this one, mixing them together. Can those things be, on a normal day, one of them individually are not poisonous, but mixing these things together, can it make it poisonous?
Great. All right, she'll respond to that question. Thank you very much, Ayo. All right, then I will still sneak in one more before I allow her to respond. And that's a real cause for concern, though. I know people have been asking that. That's why I was trying to bring in the idea of what's the difference between what the botanist does and what the traditional medicine practitioner, what they do. But let's hear from you. 0809-912-0777. Ikorodu Road is still free. It was my 12. Please turn down the volume of that radio.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, what's your name, sir?
Yes, my name is Obi.
Obi?
I really like, yes. I'm calling from Abosede.
All right, go ahead.
I really liked the program this morning.
Okay.
But my question is,
Now my question is, okay, I like that aspect where Madam said they collaborate with the pharmacist and the local house, traditional housemen. But my question is there a kind of documentation? Because I have been opportunity to travel once to China, and there was a place they call the tea shop. For different ailments, for different purposes, they have different herbs for different purposes. For example, if you want a slimming tea, things like that they give you. But here, I want to ask, are they having a kind of documentation, to enable people to know what to take for different purposes? For example, like she was talking about boosting immunity and all that. So people on their own can read. Because where I come from in the East, I know that some families have this, and they said it was passed on to them by their grandparents or things like that. And they are being they don't want to open up and tell people.
Okay.
But that of China, I see that whatever you give people to take, so long as it's something that is going into their body, you have to write what that drug or local herb contains.
Okay.
So that the person will be able to know if it is good for him or her.
All right.
So are we having such
in Nigeria?
Yeah.
All right then. Thank you very much for adding your voice to the conversation, Obi. Let's get to that then, Dr. Desalu. Lots of questions have been posed to you right now. Where do you want to take it from? The rear or from the top?
From top.
From the top.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to the first of the questions, which has to do with, studying botany. Now, are botanists working with NAFDAC? Let's get to that.
Yeah. I will start by answering one of the questions the first caller asked about why are children not studying botany.
That's right.
Yeah, it has to do with awareness and the society that we find ourselves. Apart from making this program today, joining this program today, I also engage in volunteerism. Go to secondary schools to talk to high school, secondary school students.
Oh, so you do that?
Career talk.
You do that, right? So
I do.
People can invite you.
Yeah,
I know that's what Abayo was trying to say when she said he needed your contact.
Okay. I do that because at the point of it, we realize that most of the professions or courses that are well known is what our children are seeing or listening to,
and that's what they are pursuing.
And that's what they are pursuing, and that is why at times they stay more years at home trying to study one course or the other and wasting their time. Meanwhile, at that point they would have studied maybe zoology, studied botany, studied microbiology, studied marine biology and other courses.
So we can say that most of the students that are studying botany today or zoology, they got there by accident, so to say.
For now, the university, I would say that it's improving now. We have some students that are putting in botany as their first choice now, but not as many as we are envisaging that we are expecting. During my own time too, I had to change my course to botany, and I don't regret studying botany now.
What did you initially?
I wanted to study medicine, and when I didn't get to the cutoff point, I had to do the change of course to botany. And that time, the botany was not even as exposed or known like this. I'm talking about 1990.
Right.
So where everybody say that. So, and also some parents are not even proud telling their friends that my son or my daughter is in university studying botany. They want to tell them that they're studying pharmacy, medicine, and all that. So those are the things that we have to disabuse our mind about all these courses. Because the truth of the matter is, like I've mentioned, the pharmacists that want to use those plants to formulate drugs, they need the assistance of botanists to identify those plants.
So they have to work in collaboration with you.
Yes, we have to identify those plants.
Right.
And that is why botanists are working hard to identify properly.
So let's move on to the next question, which Grandma Olayinka asks. Are botanists working with NAFDAC?
Yeah, many of us do some collaborations with NAFDAC. And most of the time, when you want to do this formulation, you have to go through them. But it takes time. But most of these things, we have it published. And it is kind of a compound that you want to get from a plant or the vegetable that you are working with. But most of the time, we'll take more initiative on those plants that have been implicated for the treatment of one thing or the other.
Right.
So now trying to verify and confirm the active ingredients in that plant that makes it to perform such for to use it for that treatment.
Right.
Also know that in the past, our parents, forefathers, they use signature for treatment. They don't go to school. They just look at the plant. Oh, this plant looks like a kidney shape. The beans, they said they believe that because it's the kidney shape, they can use it for the treatment of anything that has to do with kidney. The calotropes, the Yoruba call it boom boom. They use it for treatment of infertility in men. Those are the signature. They don't do the phytochemistry of it. But botanists will not do that. We are not trained to do that. We are trained to collect that plant or the part of the plant and analyze it for the active ingredients.
All right.
And state it.
Because of time, really, because I'm still going to get to that in issues of research. But I was concerned about mixture of different plants. Can it become poisonous?
Yeah, like as a botanist sitting down here, our own is to tell you that this plant A has this active ingredient. You can take it as individual plant, as just one of plant. We will not tell you to mix this thing together. We are not trained to do that.
Okay.
So I will advise that if you want to take fruit, if you want to take orange, you can take it separately. Or nowadays we have what they call the fruity mixture and all that.
Right.
You can do that, but we will not prescribe mixing many herbs together.
Right. So Obi, who has traveled widely from what he says, there's a kind of, is there any kind of place where you can get this knowledge? For instance, if I don't want to use the conventional kind of drugs, I just want to make use of plants. Do we have a place where the constituents of those plants or those mixtures, those herbal remedies can be displayed? Do we have that in Nigeria?
We have one in the Department of Faculty of Pharmacy in the University of Lagos that I know of, the Department of Pharmacognosy. They put all those things together, and if you need assistance or any help, you can go there to seek for clarification.
Right.
And I know that they also work with NAFDAC and all that.
All right, then let's take the last set of calls this morning, 0809-912-0777. Dr. Taofeekat Desalu is an associate professor with the Department of Botany, University of Lagos. And this morning, we're trying to see how we locate the place of homegrown herbs in boosting our immunity. All right, 0809-912-0777 is still the numbers that you can call to put your questions or your inquiries through, and then to be able to respond to that. Doctor, research is what is needed really for us to get further in terms of advancement with this. Do we have researchers that are going in this area to bring up these plants? Please turn down the volume of that radio. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, this is Adebayo Wahab.
Nice to hear from you, Adebayo Wahab.
Yes, I'm very...
Ooh. All right, the line to Adebayo Wahab just gone off there, but please try and see how you can reconnect. 0809-912-0777. If you have any inquiries, any concerns, you can bring it before the lecturer here. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Uche, and I'm calling from Isolo.
All right, Uche, go ahead.
I've listened to your program from the beginning. I'm highly impressed that some of our... the question I want to ask you, last answer has partially answered the question, and that is that you don't need to mix several plants together for usage. But look at it like this. Somebody just told me yesterday, mint, ginger, mint, garlic, take pawpaw, leaf or pawpaw is boil it for 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes. Take it and you will see the effectiveness on your body. So I wanted to confirm from Madam, is this correct?
Okay. To mix all these ones, boil it, and then consume it. Is it correct? That's what you want to know? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Because you see, we cause more damages to our head in trying to help ourselves.
Okay.
So, Madam,
I'm listening. I want to hear from you, man.
All right, then. Thank you so much. And I will allow her to just respond to that right away, really. Because adding to that question which Uche just put out there, sometimes we get these vegetables, we cannot eat them raw. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So is there a way boiling destroys the nutritional value of any of these things that we consume? Any of these plants?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Let me start by saying that as a botanist, we will not to mix things together, like I've mentioned before. But if you look at it, what the person just mentioned, the garlic, the ginger, the study that have been done on those group of plants, and realize that they have lots of antioxidants, and they can act against an infection. So they are good, like a form of antibiotics, natural way of boosting your immunity and all that.
So it is good.
It's good. But what we're saying is that is why some of us will put ginger in your pepper when you are grinding pepper, just a little one and all that. So taking this one individually, like I've said, or separately, will not cause any problem. Right. Then mixing them together. Are you getting it now? Mixing them together is another way of putting your plants to use.
Okay.
But we will not ordinarily advise, because that's when we are going to another way of using it, because we can do it through infusion, you can do concoction, you can even do through boiling. Now the boiling one that you said, it depends on what you want from that plant. If you are looking for the proteinous part of that plant, it's advisable that you don't eat it too much, because it destroys protein.
Okay.
And that is why at times when you are making your vegetables for soup and all that, you are advised that you don't wash all the nutrients. Some of us, we go to market, you ask them to cut the ugu for us, and when you get home, you wash the ugu in water again. All the nutrients have been washed away. It's advised that you get your ugu straight from the market, get them to the house, wash them by yourself, and after washing, you start cutting. Then you put them to whatever you want to cook to maintain and sustain those nutrients that are needed.
I wish this can continue on and on, but I just found out that my time is fast spent, and we have to end this conversation as quickly as possible. But I mean, your reward in terms of advice to our people, especially as it relates to how best we can boost our immune system. What would be your thoughts?
I will advise our people to take advantage of fruits and vegetables that we have in season, because nature has given us. So we should flow with what we have in season. Right. Then also watch our stress level, because if you are stressed, even if you take lots of these things, you might not see the effect as soon as possible. But the most important thing is this: if you are not sure of anything that you are being asked to take, please seek for clarification, because of your body mechanism. Someone can take it and will not affect the person, and you will just take a small dose of it and it will affect you.
All right.
We are different.
We're going to get you back in the studio someday, very, very soon. And then we can look at some other aspects, really, because there are so many questions here to still get through. Can we use herbs for all kinds of ailments? Those are some of the things I would like to share that on. But we have to go now. Thank you so much, madam, for being here. For those who want to connect with you after the program, how can they do that? For those who want to link up with you, perhaps your email, your social media contact, or or your phone.
My email address is bosse@yahoo.com.
bosse@desalu@yahoo.com. Okay.
And my Facebook is Bosse Adesalu Oladapo.
Bosse Adesalu Oladapo.
Yeah, I'm also on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Adesalu.
All right.
On ResearchGate as well, and Google Scholar.
Okay then. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, madam, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So before we leave, we have to do the birthdays this morning and ring at the bell for one or two persons who are celebrating out there. Babatunde Nat Balogun is an auditor with the Lagos State Government. Big shout out to you. Yemisi Aregbebe. All right. Aregbebe. All right. Big shout out to you. And also Lola Mayegun. Here today is your birthday as well. All right. So to all of you who are celebrating, we're celebrating you as well, and we say thank you so much. But we have to go. The program this morning has been produced by Folashade Adirumu, and maximum thanks to our resource person out there. We're talking about Taye Olani for making this possible this morning. Thank you so much. for making the content as enriched as it is. That's to Taye Olani. I want to call him a doctor as well. Thank you so much. But we have to also give props to our executive producer, that's Tayo Akonle. Okay then, so the program will return next Saturday. That's Talk Time. But till then, take good care of your health and seek ways of improving your immunity. Just like the lecturer said this morning, do that and make sure you do it in moderacy. Till then, this is Victor Terry. Have a great day. Bye.